ISIS. Who are they and how did they become so powerful? To explain this, we will have to go back to 2003, the year Western powers occupied Iraq to topple Saddam Hussein and his Ba'ath Party. Why? To remove the weapons of mass destruction which they couldn't find in the end. Before the invasion, Saddam ruled Iraq for nearly 24 years, with mostly a Sunni elite enjoying privileged positions and dominating his regime. Saddam was a ruthless dictator, destroying all that opposed him, while suppressing the Shia majority of Iraq. As ruthless as he was, Al-Qaeda did not have a presence in Iraq during his rule. After the occupation, Western powers banished the Ba'ath Party, which was a major error given that numerous public jobs during Saddam's Iraq required you to be part of the Ba'ath Party. Therefore, abolishing the party meant the removal of police officers, councillors, and the army among others. This resulted in chaotic scenes and the destruction of Iraq's infrastructure. With Western powers now having a base in Iraq, Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organisations lured numerous people with the idea that Islam was being attacked by the West. Due to the Iraqi army being dissolved, Iraq's borders were left open, which helped thousands of terrorists to enter from neighbouring countries. The Ba'ath Party, now having a common enemy with Al-Qaeda, another Sunni organisation, and being completely banished from power, provided powerful logistical and military assistance to Al-Qaeda, helping them gain power. In 2006, Iraq experienced one of its worst years as a civil war ensued between Sunni extremist organisations, backed by some private members of the Gulf countries, and Shia extremist organisations backed by Iran, which is predominantly Shia. This caused a cleansing of many areas in Iraq, resulting in deep divisions within the community. This civil war united the Sunni extremist organisations, forming the Islamic State of Iraq, or ISI. In addition, the newly elected Shia government was extremely corrupted and were marginalising the Sunni minority, which pushed some Sunni tribes to support ISI. During the years that followed, Iraq became a terrorist ground where numerous foreign fighters would enter. In 2011, the US withdrew its forces from Iraq, which was celebrated as a success by ISI. At the same time, the Syrian civil war erupted as part of the Arab uprisings within the region to topple the numerous dictators ruling the Arab world, most of whom were previously supported by the US. Many Sunni Syrians, who make up about 74% of the population, wanted to remove President Bashar Al Assad, who was an Alawite Muslim, which is a branch of Shia Islam. Al-Qaeda took this opportunity to enter Syria and support the Sunni rebels to topple Bashar. The US, which considered Bashar as an enemy due to his support for Iran, started supplying money and weapons to many different rebels that were fighting Bashar's forces. This was further coupled by Gulf financing, as this was seen as an opportunity to remove an ally of Iran, which the Gulf considered an enemy. Numerous rebel factions that received weapons from the US were to become part of ISI in the future. ISI, under its current leader Abu Bakr Al Baghdadi, decided to send some of its own forces to assist the Syrian rebels. By 2013, ISI joined forces with other Syrian rebels to form the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, also known as ISIS. Al-Qaeda did not want ISI to merge with their own affiliated rebels in Syria. However, this was ignored by al-Baghdadi, which resulted in Al-Qaeda cutting ties with ISIS. With ISIS being supplied with Western weapons, attracting many young foreign fighters through social media, and obtaining financing from numerous countries, it was able to acquire large amounts of Sunni Syria. In 2014, ISIS made unexpected advances in Iraq, acquiring many towns and cities, including the second biggest city, Mosul, due to the disorganised Iraqi army fleeing their bases. During this attack, ISIS took control of banks, oil wells, and numerous bases that contained heavy weaponry provided by the US Army to Iraq. Currently, ISIS generates a staggering $2.9 billion annually, which is more than the revenue earned by the government of Uganda. This income is generated from exporting oil and gas, exporting other commodities, taxing the population it controls, profiting from abductions, and selling Iraqi and Syrian artifacts and donations. This has resulted in ISIS becoming the richest terrorist organisation in the world, controlling assets valued at $2 trillion. The barbaric methods of ISIS, coupled with the destructive attacks by Bashar and the sectarian violence that followed the US-led invasion in Iraq, has affected a large number of the population and has led to one of the worst refugee crises since World War II. 500,000 Iraqi civilians have been killed, with 3.6 million being internally displaced and 400,000 leaving the country, 50% of whom have remained in the Middle East. While in Syria, 250,000 civilians have been killed, with 7.5 million being internally displaced and 4.5 million leaving the country, 95% of whom have also remained in the Middle East. The situation is extremely difficult to resolve due to the different groups taking part in this war.